Bush, bless his heart, is worried about weapons of mass destruction. No dark nation should have a weapon of mass destruction. They have a fear. France got it. England got it. I think Germany may have something. South Africa has it. Israel has it. These are the former, some of them the former colonial masters. They have the right to have it, but don't give it to a darker power. We're worried about China has it. India has it. Lord have mercy. Pakistan got it. Korea was the axis of evil. Now Korea said, well, we got it. All of a sudden they fell off the screen. It's now Iran and Iraq. Well, if they are so afraid of weapons of mass destruction, my teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said, our unity is more powerful than an atomic or hydrogen bomb. That's the one thing we have never tried. We've kneeled in, crawled in, prayed in, lied in, slept in, but still we are out. If you want to get what you want, we gotta start with a contract with us. A contract, a covenant with us.
Wagwan, my Jamaican family, and once again welcome back to the Yardi Reacts. If it is for the first time you are checking me out, kindly subscribe, like and share to my YouTube channel. And to my returning subscribers, I do want to say thank you very much for the love and support you are always giving unto me. Whereby today, guys, our video dives in, and whereby it is a combination, or rather a compilation of different videos from these different legendaries that we have lived to be knowing, or rather great leaders that we are eager to have them as our leaders, of the qualities that they have got. And on to the first video, it is all about Louis Farrakhan, and whereby he is sending a straight warning message to Donald Trump, the United States president, about leaving Jamaica and the Caribbean, even the African countries, alone and respecting them. And in it we have got the amazing great woman leader, the PM of Barbados, Mia Motley too, giving out a straight speech like a warning, sending on to Donald Trump to leave Jamaica and the Caribbean alone. So I want you guys to watch this entire video to the end, and I'll be back with more.
We in leadership make a covenant with your people that you will never sell them out. We as leaders, listen. That nothing is more important than the salvation of a people who are now on a death march. While we're singing and dancing and popping our finger and shaking our backside to the world, we are on a death march into ovens, but not the same oven called Auschwitz. But it is a destruction coming to our people through bad health care, no health insurance, HIV, AIDS, drive-by shootings, gang conflict, crack cocaine. We are now become the enemy of ourselves. So we have to make a covenant. And in closing, in my conclusion, oh yes, I'm a Baptist preacher now. In my conclusion, in the 37th chapter of Ezekiel, there was some dry bones that were in a valley. And the bones were talking to one another. They were having a conversation about a contract. As they were having this contract, some of the bones said, our hope is lost. Our bones are dried. We are cut off from our part. There's some that are watching by television and some in this audience that think that we will never come together, that we will never make the right covenant or contract. I say to you, go back and read your scripture. Because when the Son of Man was set down in that valley that was full of bones, he spoke to those bones, and the bones shook and the bones rattled. But they never stood up. So he went back to his sender and he said, Lord, I have spoken to the bones. And nobody has spoken to the bones like black leaders and black preachers. Nobody speaks to the bones like a Reverend Jackson or a T.D. Jakes or Bishop Long or Bishop Patterson or Cornel West. And those of us that preach, Reverend Sharpton, the bones always listen. The bones shake. The bones rattle, but they never get up and they never do what they're supposed to do. So one generation dies and another generation is born, and we continue to run the same game. So the Son of Man went back to his sin and said, I've been talking. The bones been shaken, but there's still no life in them. He said, well, don't talk to the bones no more. Prophesy to the winds. And let the winds blow on these bones. See, Bush is a wind. Your rejection at the table is a wind. My brother's going to dinner in the White House and can't come away with what is in the best interest of all our people. Jesse running twice, but still couldn't come away with what our people need. All of this is a farce. If we don't make up our minds today to make this contract, this covenant today, not with us and the Democratic Party, to hell with the Democrats and to hell. Having listened carefully to all of my wonderful brothers and sisters, I recognize that the thing that is missing is not the genius that is present or the genius that is absent, but the thing that is missing is the unity of us as a people. My beloved brother, Mr. Frazier, articulated some magnificent economic truths that can be realized fully by the unity of us as a people. My sister talked about education and health issues. We cannot any longer depend on a benevolent white person in office to look out for our needs. That responsibility is ours. Now, whether my brother, Bishop Eddie Long, can visit the White House and speak on behalf of us, or whether the Reverend Jackson can visit the White House and speak on behalf of us, or any of us,
They haven't invited me, Mr. They haven't invited me to the White House.
Well, you're on your way though, brother, for sure. Selma, Alabama, where so many good people lost their lives. So many good people were maimed and wounded. So many scarred for life, that we might have a right to vote. But we have not used that vote as wisely as we should have. And in some respects, we have betrayed those who died for us. Because we went to sleep thinking that the strife was o'er, the battle done, the victory of life was won, only to turn around and find that 30 years later, the same man who was mayor then is mayor now. We know that all human beings can be redeemed. And we believe in redemption. But things are still the same. You have the right to vote. You have wonderful politicians. You have people that are serving in many different capacities. But if you look at the condition of the masses of our people, it remains the same. So we did not get the right to vote, and Mother Cooper did not knock down the sheriff for us to be knocked down by machinations and schemes that rob us of the freedom that they suffered to try to give us. I'm not here in Selma to create any problem. The problem is already here. Some of these that have opposed my presence, what are their works? We've read their words in the paper, but what are their works? On my way to this beloved and sacred place, I saw a sign, "This way to racial harmony," as though racial harmony was on the bridge. Racial harmony is not on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Racial harmony can only come when there's racial justice. Farrakhan did not come to disrupt what doesn't exist. You see? Our people are not foolish. We don't need magic. We need truth. We don't need magic. We don't need deception. We need truth. Those of you in power, you know that you're deceiving black people. You know you are making them to believe that something exists that you know does not exist. So the real liars, the real deceivers, the real game players, see, that's who are afraid of my coming, because the truth in my mouth exposes their lies, their deceit, their chicanery. While I was walking through the museum of voting and civil rights, it took every bit of strength to keep the tears from falling from my eyes, to think of how my brothers and sisters have suffered to vote for the same people that put them in this condition. How my people have suffered to be turned into apologists for their former slave masters and their children. How my people have suffered for a vote to put some of you in office and then you sell them out. While I was in the museum reminiscing over Dr. Martin Luther King and the Reverend James Luther Bevel and all of those who came to Selma, Kwame Ture and others who came not to be seen on television, but to rectify a gross wrong, a gross injustice. And the media would act as though all injustice has been corrected. All suffering has ended. All racism has ended. And then have the nerve to call me a notorious bigot while the bigotry, the racism, and the hatred still exists in Selma, Alabama, 30 years after Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm not here to stir up hatred. But if you had not been unjust to black people, there would be no hatred for nobody to stir up. Love and justice does not produce hatred, but it is evil and injustice that has produced hatred if hatred exists. While I was in the museum, His Honor, the mayor, Mr. Smitherman, came to see if the people of his plantation are still all right. He came by and they tell me, I didn't hear him say it, but I heard that he said they're going to investigate Mr. Sanders and a grant that he received to see if he used any of that grant money to bring this hater and this bigot to Selma. I wish he was here so I could tell him to his teeth. Sanders and Senator Sanders did not offer me one dime, nor did I ask for one dime to come to Selma. I paid my way every mile of the journey. And the love offering that you gave, thinking that you gave to me, I put $100 in that bucket, and I'm giving every dime right back to Selma, that Selma may improve her own condition. So, Mayor, you can go back to doing something better with your time. I came here to Selma to talk to you because your biggest enemy is not the white man. Your biggest enemy is your fear of the white man. Your biggest enemy is not the white man. Your biggest enemy is your ignorance of the white man. Fear and ignorance is your number one enemy. How dare you say you are a Christian and that you know Jesus Christ and are walking in fear of the very shadow of your enemy? The scripture said perfect love casteth out fear, and that is your problem. You don't love God enough. You don't love yourself enough. You don't love one another enough. I will tell you all, you can talk that foolishness to the ignorant. But see, you cannot bring that to me because I know you.
I took office 2.5 years ago as a dumb, ignorant family physician coming from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I had no idea what I was going to be doing in Washington. As a matter of fact, I actually felt kind of funny and silly, thinking me, a medical doctor, can be a diplomat. But be it as it may, singularly, the one thing, I came here, by the way, with no plans of staying. I was coming here top 6 months. After 6 months, look at my husband, honey, I tried, it didn't work out. Look at the chairman of the African Union who had appointed me. Thank you, Madam Zuma, it was great, but I could not do it. But 5th month into this position, one issue that kept coming to me and became very apparent was the disrespect for the African. I knew it existed, I just didn't understand the depth and the profoundness of it. And not only that, as I began to understand it even deeper, I began to also understand its economic implications when it comes to how we are perceived on the world stage, how this simple fact of simply disrespecting the African had serious implications and is at the root cause of why Africa is not able to move forward. And as I went and tried to understand and dig further to say, what is it about us as black people around the globe? Why is it that we are so disrespected no matter where you go? And I often say, was there a memo sent out to say wherever you go, if you are not a black person, you see a black person, you're automatically superior to them and you have a right to disrespect them? This memo did not miss anybody. It went to non-black people, but here's the real shocker. It also went to us black people to say, accept that you are inferior. You automatically take an inferior position. And I'm going to have to tell you something that has become a realization that and this is where I am stuck as I try to understand, how did this message just go through and percolated so through? Now we are on automatic pilot. It's almost as if we've undergone a genetic mutation. We don't even have to be told. We pass it on to our children. Have you ever wondered, of all the colors on earth, why were 2 colors chosen? Black color and white color. Follow me on this one. You take a white color, you associate it with Jesus Christ. You associate it with the angels. You associate it with purity and everything wonderful and everything desirable. And then you take a race that's not even white and you say you are white. Yes. And then you take another color. You associate it with the devil. You associate it with everything undesirable. I've never seen a bank robber wearing a white mask. All the villains on movies are black. Everything undesirable is black. And then you take another race that are not even black and say, you guys, you are black. Yeah. Now go at it. Speak, my sister. As we black mothers are trying to raise our children in our own homes, as much as we try to tell them that you're black and you're beautiful, guess what? The minute they step outside the door, the messages are completely different. A barrage of subliminal messages telling our children that that which you represent is horrible. How do we fight against that? How do I tell my granddaughter that you're black and beautiful, but the world tells her otherwise? The voices echoing her blackness as a symbol of everything undesirable are much, much louder than even we black mothers. We come together, we can never drown those subliminal messages. They were all by design. Let me take you to the beginning. Certainly for Africa, your continent. Because as we gather here today, as we try to strategize, as we try to create those linkages between those Africans away from the continent and the Africans on the continent, we must understand, how did we get here? And for Africa, it starts with that monumental decision when the colonizers, came together in Berlin in 1884. And let me say, prior to 1884, they were coming to Africa in a haphazard way. They had started with slavery. And then when they felt like they needed the slaves to stay on the continent, they say, oh, we no longer believe in slave trade. Let's stop it. No. It was really just another way of saying the labor is needed on the continent. Let's keep the monkeys on the continent so we can continue to exploit them. So 1884, they met in Berlin to organize themselves so they can effectively loot from the monkeys. They did not meet in Berlin to see to it that Africa would prosper. No. Let me repeat. The colonizers met in order to see to it that your Africa, our Africa, and her children, not only on the continent, are forever defeated and dominated. That was 135 years ago. The manner in which they did it, they took out the map of Africa while the Africans were sleeping, minding their own business. Started to chop up your continent into the tiny little countries that we see today. The bigger and more powerful a kingdom was, the more countries that came out of it. Not only more countries, but these countries were given to different colonizers who spoke different languages. Let me bring it home for a second. Pretend you're driving from Zambia, you're speaking English. Pretty soon you are in Angola, you're speaking Portuguese. Then DRC, French. Equatorial Guinea, Spanish. Southern Cameroon, French. Southern Cameroon, English. Northern Cameroon, French. You are now in Nigeria, English. Hello. These were the same people. Prior to 1884, we were powerful, amazing kingdoms with well-established educational and religious systems. If the truth be told, we had the civilization. We were the civilized. They were the devils, the uncivilized ones. They set out to take everything that symbolized civilization in Africa. To this day, they're still refusing to give up those relics. If those relics were not that good, why are you keeping them? We were way ahead of them in our civilization. They set out to destroy us. And Berlin Conference put the nail on that coffin. So they gave Djibouti the same sovereignty as the United States. They gave Burundi the same sovereignty as China. They gave Togo. You see, the EU realizes individual little countries, they can't survive on the world stage. So they came together as the European Union. Now picture this now. So they cut up this Africa into the tiny little countries, small economies that could never survive on their own, but gave them the same sovereignty as the big boys. So that way, when the little bitty countries go to the world stage for the purposes of development and discussing trade, they're wannabe boxers who are being thrown into the heavyweight boxing ring every day. How do you put China in the same boxing ring with Eswatini? Eswatini has 1.2 million people. China has 1.4 billion people. And you put them on the same stage and say, go at it, negotiate. Are you with me? Yes. This is insanity of the highest order. How have we allowed this carnage to go on? When Eswatini is thrown in the same boxing ring with China and Eswatini collapses before Eswatini even gets on the stage, the world says, well, Eswatini, what's wrong with you? Why can't you take care of your people? Well, China came in and said, Eswatini, give me all your gold or else. And if Eswatini does not agree, they just go on next door to Lesotho and give Lesotho an extra $1. And if Lesotho doesn't take it, they just jump on to Togo, Central African Republic. It was all by design. 1884. They did something else in addition to chopping us up. They also set out to make the African believe that everything African was bad and undesirable, and everything Western, particularly French and British, was more desirable. We call that the legacy of colonization. Prior to that, they had started long working on the slaves. Make them think everything about them, forget anything about Africa. Where you come from is a horrible place, diseased and dying people, constantly at war with themselves, uncivilized. Cut out any communications with them. You need to just know what we tell you. And we call that the legacy of slavery. So that's where you look at where we are today. 135 years later, a system that was put in place to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated, that Africa is forever exploited, remains in place today, alive and well. And we sit here and we ask ourselves, why isn't Africa moving forward? Why does Africa continue to be taken advantage of? Well, I'll tell you why, very simply. Until Africa comes together as a continent speaking with one voice, one continent, one people, nothing, and I repeat, nothing is gonna change. As individual little African countries, we are wannabe boxers. We will never make it fighting against the heavyweights. We must speak with one voice. Yes. And this is exactly what our Pan-African leaders wanted to see happen in 1963 when they came together in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. They clearly stated that Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and that African Union was now. They said Africa must speak with one voice. It is the only way for Africa to take its rightful place on the world stage. Sadly, when they went to Addis Ababa in 1963, they were divided. We had two factions, the Casablanca group and the Monrovia group. The Casablanca group were saying Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and African Union now. This was Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Only 7. The other 25 of the 32 who attended were the Monrovia group. They were the nationalists. They said, let's go slow. Let's kind of wait on this Pan-African thing. 55 years later, 56 this year, we're still going slow. As if it wasn't bad enough that we were divided up into the tiny little countries that we are today. The gift that Berlin Conference gave us. One other thing that France did between 1958 and 1961 in the name of giving us our independence as African countries. France forced the Francophone, and I hate that terminology. There is no such thing as Francophone, Anglophone. They made it up. But for the purposes of communication, I will use that. 14 of those countries, they said, in order for you to get your independence from us, you must sign this document. You thought they could have found a better name for the document. The document was called the Pact for the Continuation. I repeat, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. We are talking about giving you independence, but sign this pact for the continuation of colonization in a different format. Yes. And I'm going to highlight some of those issues that they said you must agree to if you are going to be independent. Hello. Maybe we need to redefine the meaning of independence for the French. Next, France said, you see, you monkeys, you don't know how to manage your money. We're going to demand that you deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Minister of Finance, under the French Central Bank, under the control of the French Minister of Finance. France is then going to take your 85% bank deposits from each and every one of you. Deposit those funds in the French stock market under the French name. And you may or may not know the returns. Today, as we speak, the latest figures are saying for every 14 billion that France invests in the stock market from Africa, they are realizing upwards of 300 billion in return. Every year in, year out, because of these deposits from the African countries, France is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. Now figure it out. For every 14 billion, the returns on the investment are over 300 billion, and they are taking over 500 billion. So in actuality, France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars year in and year out from us poor people, Africans. Back to the pact. So should you want to access some of your money that you have deposited with France, you have to submit your country's financial returns. And if approved, you get to get it as a loan. You can only access up to 20% of your money year in, year out as a loan at commercial interest rates. Your own money. As if that was not enough. They said all your minerals discovered, yet to be discovered, all your oil discovered, yet to be discovered. France and French companies have the first right of refusal. If there's anything left over that the French companies do not want, your people might have. To this day. They said you will only use the currency that we created for you because you're special Africans. We call it the CFA. There was the Central African CFA and the Western African CFA, same animal. And that France is the only one that can print it for you. 1958. Fast forward. They're still printing it for us. And if you start misbehaving, they just stop printing your money. And your country's in trouble. They also said your language of instruction shall be French, whether you like it or not. That France will have military presence in your country, that your military can only be trained by France, that you can only buy military equipment from France, that you cannot have any military alliance with your neighbor, and that in the event of war, your allegiance is only to France. And furthermore, because they have military presence in your country, they can invade you without notice should they feel that the interests of France in your country are being violated.
Teach, sister, teach. Speak on, sister.
Fast forward, 2019, nothing has changed. The same people who have the audacity to tell us that we are poor countries, they are taking trillions out of Africa every year. And what is the African doing? Like an obedient, programmed black man, we just give in. We know the facts, but we just do nothing about it. Now, you have to say some of the fears are real, because the France that has sold you inferior equipment to theirs, France that has trained your military to be inferior to their military, they are now in your country. They can invade you. They have the permission to do so. They can destabilize you. And then one might say, why is it that African leaders haven't done anything about this deplorable situation? Well, let me tell you, my brother and sister, they have tried. Documented to this day, 22 coups where leaders were assassinated. France had something to do with it. The first 7 When they decided they were pulling out of the CFA and that they're going to print their own money, they were assassinated. Every time an African leader has tried to do what's best for their country, they were assassinated. Majority of them aided by France. It's a known fact. And then others, they were just mercenaries who felt that when there was a natural resource discovered in one country, they wanted to create a coup. So while the country is thrown into a civil war, they're siphoning the natural resource. We know of one particular story that had we not known about it, it would have been, oh, there we go again, the African.
Welcome back, guys. I hope you have watched this entire video to the end and you have heard and seen to whatever it's trying to be implied onto this video by Louis Farrakhan and the PM of Barbados, Mia Motley. And whereby we know Louis Farrakhan is someone like an activist, and whereby he usually defends for the rights of African people, the Jamaican people and the Caribbean people, or more so black people, and he usually gives out the great history about African people and the black people, even the Jamaican and the Caribbean people. And so in it, here he is voting, for Donald Trump to leave African countries, Jamaican countries and the Caribbean countries, as I know, Caribbean countries in it. And Mia Motley too, she is the great woman that we have been knowing and have been following up through, mainly because she has great qualities of being a leader, a woman leader whom cares about the people of her country and her country itself, the leaders whom work for their people. Let's talk about Donald Trump and why is this message being sent to Donald Trump straight. Mainly because we have had the issues whereby Donald Trump, simply because he knows he is the president of a superpower country, he thinks he can do whatever he wants to do in all other countries. And that comes whereby he went on further forward and he was demanding the Chinese out of Jamaica. You tell me, does Jamaica don't have their own government that they know this is what we're supposed to be doing? Or rather, is it a must they be given, like warnings or other advices from other countries, do these and these and this and this? It doesn't make any kind of sense. Another president from another country comes to your country and demands other people out of your country, mainly because he or she is fearing for their safety. The Chinese and the Americans have never been on the same line together. They usually have got this certain beef that they usually are beefing about. And as we know, the Chinese have got set their base in Jamaica, for we know the Chinese are helping Jamaica in a lot when it comes to infrastructure and even the economics, mainly because the Chinese are the ones who are owning big businesses in Jamaica and things of the sort. So definitely the economics of Jamaica is being held by the Chinese. That's one thing that we're supposed to be agreeing on. And another thing, the Chinese are building Jamaica with their technologies in terms of infrastructure, the roads and companies. Yeah, these are the work of the Chinese. And so it is making Donald Trump fear, mainly because the Chinese have set even their army base in Jamaica. And as we know, Jamaica, it is very much close to the United States. So when the Chinese declare they want to fight the USA, it's going to be a very easy access. And that's why Donald Trump wants the Chinese out. But in this case, Donald Trump needs to leave African countries and the Caribbean countries alone. They have got their own brains that they can use and know this is what we're supposed to do and this is what we want for our country. Despite of our leaders being puppets unto the West country leaders, in another way, we do too have the government and we can control the government for ourselves. We don't need you to come around and control us. So, unto it, that's the message Louis Farrakhan is trying to pass across to Donald Trump. And for the PM of Barbados, Mia Motley, this is one of the greatest leaders I've encountered to see and seeing her speeches usually makes me feel great, mainly because these are the kind of leaders that I would want to see African countries, the Caribbean countries, having. More so, we in Africa have got that leader, and that's Ibrahim Traore, the president of Burkina Faso, a leader whom cutted ties with West countries, and now you can see how the country is moving on to forward. And whatever these leaders usually urge African leaders and the Caribbean leaders is that they should come together so as they can create something out of it. But it remains that our leaders are just always okay when they are being puppets unto other African, unto the West countries, and it doesn't usually make any kind of sense. The proof is there. When we look at Barbados, when we look at Burkina Faso, you can see the progress they are making. Despite of Barbados, I know they have got some legal ties with the West or somehow, but their leader is not a puppet, and that makes Barbados become a strong and firm country in the Caribbean. Just like Burkina Faso, a country that doesn't have ties with any West countries. And it led to a lot of misunderstandings, and even tried a couple times to assassinate the president of Burkina Faso, but they had no chance, mainly because when a leader is loved, he will be protected by his people and each and everyone whom is surrounding them. Those are the kind of leaders that we want in our world and countries, but not puppet leaders. So guys, I want to know whatever you think about this amazing video. Let's come around, share our thoughts through the comment section so we can get to interact and know what you think, and mainly because your opinion does matters to us every day. Thank you very much guys for following up the video with me. I was your host Yadi React. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe, like and share to my YouTube channel. And to my returning subscribers, I do want to say thank you very much for the love and support you are always giving unto me. Always remember to link me up through my next videos. All I do want to say is peace out there.